You've won a lot of races. I mean, over 80 wins as a crew chief, 7 championships, more if you throw in some of the other championships you've been a part of. I actually got asked this question the other day. The ones that got away. You've won a lot of races, but you've lost a lot of races. Is there one significant race where you just said, oh man, I wish I could rerun that race?
I think just about every race that I've had at Chicagoland, quite honestly.
Near home.
Yes, obviously it's in Joliet, Illinois, and it's about an hour and a half from where I was born, and I have never won there. We've come close, we've led to the last lap or last little bit of laps, we've sped on pit road, we've crashed, we've gotten blocked leaving off of pit road. There's been so many opportunities that I've been a part of being the fastest car at that racetrack and never been able to pull it off. So that one was very elusive, and you know as well as I, every time you miss it, it makes you want it all the more when you roll up the next time. So that track is kind of like my unicorn, so I'm trying to capture that one.
I'm sure you'll get it done one of these days. You do some TV work now, you work with Fox. I just talked about how intimidating things are up on the box, but that's your comfort zone. What's more intimidating, doing TV or being up there on the box?
Definitely TV for me.
Really?
Well, it is because it's a new environment, fairly new environment, right? And as you get into the situation, we're in the booth and just the layout's different. You don't necessarily have the exact same support staff that you've typically had, feeding you information. But I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's actually a way for me to kind of get away from racing, which sounds kind of funny, I know. I called the race in Richmond. That's the first time that I really watched a race from what would be considered the stands.
Right.
I've always been inside the circle. So it's a completely different look at what's going on in our industry. So I've really enjoyed all of that. It's fun working with guys like yourself and the other Fox staff. It's really enjoyable for me.
So we talk a lot about, do drivers change, or are they affected once they have a family, a growing family and children? Of course, being a parent is amazing, but I'm just curious to know, how does that impact your daily life, your job, as well as the joy it's bringing to you right now?
It's really amazing, Jeff, and you've lived it, and I've watched you and Jimmy grow families and get them bigger, and the love that you guys have. For me, the most difficult part has been finding that work home life balance. It's tough because when I'm here, I really enjoy what it is that I do at Hendrick Motorsports. I feel like that I've been a part of this place growing, and I get up in the morning and every day I drive down the highway as fast as I can so I get here first thing in the morning, right? I really enjoy it. But when I get home, I really
You're driving even faster home.
Right. It's true. I never knew that I could love someone as much as I love that little guy, and I've never felt it before. They say love at first sight. And when I held him the first time, that was the most love I've ever felt in my life. And it's amazing, and I wait for it every single day to see him.
For me, maybe I was getting older, wasn't winning as much. Their priorities. I'm just curious to know how you maintain that balance, because I heard what you said. You get here and boom, you're focused on that. But I do think it's important to have balance and have things to take you away from racing every once in a while. And you've never really had that. I heard you just mention that about doing TV, but you've never really had that until now. Do you think it's making you an even better crew chief too?
It's definitely making me a better person. And what it is allowing me to do, and this is my opinion, some people can argue, I feel it's making me build a better team. And putting the right people in the right place, making sure the support staff is there, the responsibilities are handled, and that allows me to get a little bit removed, and it puts some skin in the game for the guys that work with me on the 24 team. And I think it's really important to have a strong team. You've got to have a very good foundation, and people have to realize that my contribution is very, very important to the performance of this team. So yeah, you can say that I've changed a little bit, but you have to change. You have to change with times. Using a stopwatch and a notepad is completely different than using a laptop that we use now, right? I've had to evolve through that, and now I've got to learn how to be a successful crew chief with the environment that I'm in now, with a new driver and a new young family, and it'll work out, trust me.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're a confident guy, and you know how to make that happen. Of course, we do this for Axalta, and Axalta has been a part of Hendrick Motorsports, as you know, for a very long time. You're a detail-oriented guy, so I'm curious to get your opinion on this. You've worked on some fast race cars, but you've also worked on some really cool paint schemes.
Sure.
So do you have one over your career that's really stood out, or one that you just said, that is a cool looking race car?
Like the favorite?
Sure, I would love to have your favorite, especially if it's a 24.
Well, it is. It is. And a lot of people may not know this, but I started at Hendrick Motorsports working in the body shop of the 24 car for you. And so I painted I can't tell you. We crashed a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You may
We
remember.
did.
And I can't tell you guys how many 24 rainbow cars I painted. And that is still, as difficult as that car was to paint, that was my favorite paint scheme. And we saw it on the 24 car last year for the throwback.
Yes.
And I thought it looked as
looked
good
amazing.
in that body style as it did in our cars back in the past. So that's always been my favorite, just because of the history behind it. But there's been a lot of really cool paint schemes, and Axalta's done a great job for us. We've developed paints together. We've experimented with different paints. We've done the Chrome Illusion cars. There's just a ton of things that we've done together.
I won't go into too many details about why you need a certain paint on a certain car in a certain location.
Well, hey, that's all part of it, right? Like, you've got to exploit. That's part of being in racing and being creative and being a good crew chief. You've got to take different things and different elements of what it is that we do and apply it to your race car to try to find an advantage.
Well, Axalta loves to perform, so
Indeed.
they go hand in hand. Well, it's been a lot of fun having you on Around the Track. Enjoyed some stories maybe even I didn't know about. So thank you so much, Chad. Appreciate it.